Welcome to Scratch the Map. In May 2023, we scratched off Japan. From mossy forests and majestic mountains to ancient shrines, sprawling cities and sizzling street food, we did our best to fit in as much of Japan's Honshu Island as we could in an intensive 15-day speed run. We started our trip in Osaka, a city famous for its beautiful castle and legendary street food. We then travelled down to Hiroshima and nearby Miyajima Island, where we spent the next few days soaking in some history at the Peace Memorial Park, followed by a day trip to Miyajima's famed Itsukushima shrine. Leaving Hiroshima, we journeyed up to Kyoto, the cultural capital of Japan and home to some of the most iconic shrines in the country. Then we went further north to Kanazawa, a charming castle town steeped in Japanese traditions. From Kanazawa, it was on to Tokyo, the largest city in the world with lots of unique experiences on offer. While staying in Tokyo, we took a day trip to Nikko to witness some of Japan's natural beauty, and another to Mount Takao, a popular hiking spot just outside the city. This was followed by a one-night stay near Lake Kawaguchiko to see the country's most iconic view up close. After our fix of greenery and scenery, it was back to the hustle and bustle of Tokyo for a day, followed by a quick stop in nearby Kamakura, before returning to Osaka for our final few days. While based in Osaka again, we had a blast at Universal Studios and also took a day trip to Nara, a city of temples, shrines and friendly deer, before flying home. So with that said, let's go back to the start of the trip when we arrived in Osaka late at night. It's safe to say that after 24 hours of travelling, it was a relief to fall into bed. We kicked off our first day by heading up the Umeda Sky Building Observatory. Seeing the streets of Osaka sprawling out in every direction was the perfect way to get a feel for the scale of Japan's second largest city. Our entry was covered by the Osaka Amazing Pass, which we purchased that morning from the tourist office in Osaka Station. The pass covered all the attractions we saw on this day and unlimited metro and bus rides. It's great value, helping us save 3,500 yen on attractions alone. Our next attraction was the city's most famous landmark, its 16th century castle and scenic grounds. As our first real taste of Japanese history, Osaka Castle was quite something. Next stop, Tennoji Zoo. They had some beautiful animals there, but from a welfare perspective, we wouldn't really recommend, as all of the animals were in tiny enclosures. We spent the rest of the afternoon wandering around Shinsekai, where there are many options for eating and entertainment, all with a retro atmosphere that takes you back to a unique chapter of Osaka's history. The area is most known for its distinctive Sutenkaku Tower, which features a slide from the top to the bottom, if you don't mind long queues. Evening arrived and it was time for dinner. Where better to go than the street food centre of the city, Dotonbori? Nick had been waiting for this all day, and Dotonbori didn't disappoint. If Osaka Castle was our first experience of Japanese history, this was our first taste of its electric nightlife and extravagant signage. We tried a range of street food, but our favourite was probably the takoyaki, or octopus balls, which the city is most famous for. Osaka-style okonomiyaki was also delicious, but you'll have to wait to see if we preferred it to Hiroshima style. Fueled up and ready for more fun, we boarded a boat for a river cruise. This was where we got our best view of the iconic Glico Running Man. Finishing full circle, literally, we used the pass to get another view of Osaka, this time at night from the HEP 5 Ferris wheel. On day 2, we boarded our first bullet train, or Shinkansen, the first of many train rides using the JR pass. More on that later. After a quick stop at the convenience store, we headed out into the rain. Fitting weather, as this was not to be a cheerful day. The main reason we came to Hiroshima was to see the Atomic Bomb Dome and Peace Memorial Park, which commemorates the victims and provides hope for a peaceful future. When the atomic bomb hit, the position of the Genbaku Dome meant it was the only structure to survive the blast. 78 years later, it continues to stand as a symbol of the devastating power of nuclear weapons. While this was plenty of food for thought, as lunchtime came around, we were in need of something to eat, so we headed to Okonomimura. With 24 separate food stalls, all serving okonomiyaki, this is the place to go to sample Hiroshima's signature dish. It was delicious, but I think I preferred Osaka style. After lunch, we walked to Hiroshima Castle, which was destroyed by the bomb but rebuilt 13 years later. If you prefer, there's also a loop bus included in the JR Pass, which goes around all the city's main sites. The rain continued, but we still had some shrines to see. Our favourite was Toshogu Shrine, behind which lies a trail of 500 stone steps and more than 100 torii gates. When we got to the top, and despite the poor weather, the view of the city that had been built back from the ashes was very moving. Accommodation that night ticked off a quintessential Japanese experience from our list, the Capsule Hotel. On day 3, and with the rain cleared up, we visited Miyajima Island, a must-do day trip famous for its sacred Itsukushima shrine. Miyajima is just 1 hour out of Hiroshima, and if you do end up buying the JR Pass, the boat fare is included. As soon as we arrived, we headed to Itsukushima and joined the many tourists trying to get the perfect picture of the prominent torii gate, which rises majestically from the shallows. During high tide, the shrine itself appears to float in the water, which we were sad to miss. Once we'd exhausted every angle of the torii gate, we headed up into the forest via the town. 2 cable cars later, we were at the starting point for a small hike to the Mount Misen summit. After using our first vending machine in Japan, we started the Mount Misen hike, which takes roughly 30 minutes from the highest cable car station. On the way, we stopped at the Eternal Fire Hall, which holds a fire that is believed to have burnt for 1,200 years and was used to light the flame of peace in Hiroshima. Once we were done at the summit, we took the cable car back down and grabbed some gyudon for lunch. Then, with the sun now shining, we enjoyed one last chance to admire one of Japan's most celebrated sites before heading back to the mainland and boarding a JR train to Kyoto, the cultural capital of the country. Dinner that night was one of Japan's most popular dishes, yakiniku, or grilled meat in English. The next day, we woke up super early and started our Kyoto experience with a relaxing walk through the bamboo grove in Arashiyama, which lies outside the city centre. The walk takes about 15 to 30 minutes and is a unique must-do experience. But make sure you get there early. We arrived just after 7 AM and there were plenty others already there. By normal hours, this path is heaving. We walked through Arashiyama Park down to the emerald green Katsura River, and then paid a quick visit to the Kimono Forest in Arashiyama, an art installation inspired by the patterns of vibrant kimono textiles. We then got the train to Kiyomizu-dera, a beautiful Buddhist temple in the eastern hills of the city. But don't let our atmospheric shots fool you. This place was packed with people. Part of the fun of visiting Kiyomizu-dera is the approach to the temple along the beautiful but very crowded streets of Higashiyama district, which have a range of shops catering to tourists and a variety of street food options that we certainly took advantage of. We continued through historic Higashiyama to Hokanji Temple, another of Japan's most famous and probably most crowded sites. We spent the remaining afternoon visiting a range of shrines on the east side of Kyoto and a quick visit to the Gion Geisha district, where filming isn't allowed. As evening came around, we checked out the commercial area, in particular the Teramachi and Shinkyogoku shopping arcades. There are many interesting shops in these covered arcades, including an entire maze of gachapon. Teramachi Street also links with the colourful and bustling Nishiki food market, where you can buy a range of snacks, produce and drinks. For fans of seafood, Nishiki Market is not to be missed. At this point, our feet were aching from a tiring day of walking around the city. We were exhausted by dinner time, and the 2 huge bowls of ramen that we ordered, vending machine style, were very much needed. It was another very early start on day 5, as we attempted to beat the crowds at Fushimi Inari Shrine in southern Kyoto. Here, a seemingly endless trail of torii gates winds up and down a thickly wooded mountain. The entire 4.5-kilometre loop takes about 2 hours to walk, with plenty of steps and lots of small shrines to see along the way. It gets incredibly busy at the start of the trail, but if you continue up, the crowds do start to thin out, and you can get the perfect picture easily enough. Our plan for the second half of the morning was to visit Kyoto's Imperial Palace. Annoyingly, it was closed due to a large parade, which we then got held up behind for a while. Finally free to move, we stopped for lunch at Kura, our first revolving sushi bar experience. Once we figured out how it worked, we enjoyed a delicious and very reasonably priced meal from 100 yen a plate, before travelling on to our next stop in Japan, Kanazawa. That evening, we set off to explore 2 of the city's 3 geisha districts, wandering along the narrow streets of Kazuamachi Chaya, where we caught a glimpse of a real geisha. If you haven't already noticed, arriving in Kanazawa that evening had brought an immediate change of atmosphere from busy Kyoto. In fact, when we reached Higashi Chaya, one of the city's most popular tourist spots, there was practically no one there. Many of the restaurants were closed that evening, so we went to Sukiya for fast food and called it a night. The next morning, we rented bikes from our hotel and set out to see the Nagamachi Samurai District. Our first stop was the Nomura Samurai House and Garden, a historic samurai residence with interesting artifacts and artwork, a beautiful garden, relaxing tea room, and complete aura of Zen. We enjoyed a nice cup of matcha with a peaceful view of the garden, then jumped back on our bikes and cycled towards the 3rd geisha district of Kanazawa, Nishi-Chaya. On the main street, we paid a visit to the Ninja Weapon Museum. Filming wasn't allowed, but the museum was really interesting, and Nick also had a go throwing ninja stars. After successfully hitting the target, just the once, we took our bikes down to the river, and then caught our breath outside the peaceful D.T. Suzuki Museum, which commemorates the life and works of a prominent Buddhist thinker. Our next stop was the Kenroku-en Gardens, which is classified as one of the 3 most beautiful landscape gardens in Japan. We bought the +1 ticket, which also included access to the beautiful large castle just across the road. So that was our next and final stop in the city. The castle has suffered a lot of destruction over its history and has undergone a rigorous restoration process, which we learned all about in the museum. With evening approaching, our time in Kanazawa was coming to a close, as it was time to catch the train onto Tokyo. We arrived in the capital just as the sun was going down. After checking in, we walked over to one of Tokyo's most famous sites, Sensoji Temple. With the shrine all lit up Sensoji is a great place to visit at night. This was also the first time we tried our luck at omikuji, a style of fortune-telling found across Japanese shrines and temples. If you draw a bad fortune, like Nick did, you tie it at the temple to make sure it doesn't follow you home. Our first morning in Tokyo. We had a few different attractions booked for the day, but first we headed off to Tsukiji Outer Market, where we sampled an array of street food for a convenient and delicious breakfast. Our first attraction of the day was TeamLab Planets in Kyoto City. Entering a TeamLab exhibition means embarking on a fully immersive digital art experience. In Planets, you become one with nature. The artworks literally change as you move through them, the idea being to blur the boundaries between the self and the works. Another very interesting art display unique to Tokyo is the Art Aquarium, located within a shopping centre in Ginza. The aquarium showcases colourful displays of fish in crystal clear glass vessels, embellished with flowers. After a busy morning of exhibitions, we spent a few hours in Akihabara, also known as Electric Town. Previously famed for its many electronic shops, Akihabara has now become a haven for fans of Japanese pop culture and gaming. With evening rolling in, we had plans to end the day on a high. Literally 450 metres in the air at the second observation deck of Tokyo's Skytree. With a total height of 634 metres, the panoramic views go as far as Mount Fuji on clear days, which unfortunately was not today. The next day began with a visit to Shibuya, home to arguably the most famous intersection in the world, aptly named the Shibuya Scramble. Crossing over, we strolled to Harajuku, a nearby district famous for its kawaii culture, including offbeat fashion boutiques and its many animal cafes, from otters to micro-pigs. The heart of Harajuku is Takashita Street, where we visited the Mamasheba Cafe to make some fluffy friends. After a quick snack, it was back to Shibuya, which is known for being the centre of modern Japanese culture and a go-to area for shopping, entertainment and nightlife. We grabbed some ramen, got a few more shots of the scramble in the rain, and then hit up an izakaya or Japanese bar for a laid-back environment to enjoy some drinks and snacks. Our night ended at a karaoke bar, another quintessential Japanese experience. While the first half of our holiday had presented us with many interesting sights and experiences, they had almost all been within large cities. I was really looking forward to visiting some quieter, more natural spots, and the first on our itinerary was Nikko. Nikko is about 2 hours out of Tokyo, which made it just about doable as a day trip. While Nikko is home to a beautiful UNESCO World Heritage Site, Toshogu Shrine, we were much more interested in the area's hiking trails and waterfalls, so we set out on a quiet track to Jako Falls. There are some really impressive falls in the Nikko National Park, but if you're arriving by train, you have to get a bus to see them, and sadly, we didn't have enough time. The benefit of the Jako Falls Trail, though, is that we didn't see a single soul. It was peaceful, atmospheric, and felt like a real adventure. Back from our first trail, we headed to the Toshogu Shrine area, but controversially, we decided not to pay admittance, mainly because we felt like we needed a bit of a break from big, busy shrines. Instead, we embarked on the walk to Shirato Falls and Takano Shrine, which takes you along an ancient stone path through a moss-covered forest. Home to sacred shrines, graves, and small streams, this quiet, forested trail feels like a forgotten part of the world, with numerous old temples hidden in the trees. We saw a few people on this walk, but for the most part, we had it to ourselves, which was great, as no one was there to witness this fall. Our next day was busy. We left our hotel in Tokyo early in the morning and took a 50-minute train ride to Mount Takao, which is one of the nearest hiking areas to visit from Tokyo. There are a number of different trails ranging in difficulty and accessibility. There's also a chairlift, which for 480 yen we took halfway up the mountain, and then stopped to pay a quick visit at the monkey park before continuing the rest of the way up on foot. We opted for the paved route on our way up, which is very easy and can get quite busy. While at the top, we had a little rest and a picnic, and then chose a different route down the mountain, which took us along a suspension bridge through the forest. Happy with our hike, we headed to the train station and spent the afternoon travelling through the countryside to arrive 3 hours later at the foothills of Mount Fuji. We went straight to Arakiriyama Sengen Park to chill out at one of the best viewpoints of the mountain and join the many others trying to get the perfect picture of this idyllic scene. It definitely wasn't quiet there, but we did discover that if you head further up the hill, you might find a more peaceful spot to soak in the views. Later on, we got a short train to Fuji Kawaguchiko, a town surrounding one of the Fuji 5 lakes where we were going to be staying for the night. As we arrived, all the clouds cleared away and we got a true view of the real scale of the mountain, which no picture or video can really capture. That evening, we enjoyed some food in a traditional izakaya called Tanpopo, where there was no menu and the host didn't speak English. This was an interesting experience and one that we would definitely recommend. Overall, it was a beautiful evening to end a very long day. As we woke up in Lake Kawaguchiko, it was a glorious day. We were hoping to rent bikes to take around the lake, but the rental shop was closed, so we headed out on foot. We found an incredible viewpoint to take another 200 pictures of the most majestic mountain in the world. And still unsatisfied with that, headed to the Mount Fuji panoramic ropeway for another angle. Unfortunately, the queues were long, 1 hour long. By the time we got up there, a thick layer of cloud had covered the mountain. It was a shame, but never mind. Just try to imagine what kind of view you might have from these swings. Back down, we got lunch and boarded a funky Thomas the Tank Engine themed train back to Tokyo. It was all just too much excitement for Nick. A few hours later, we were back in the capital, and the first thing on our agenda was to head up the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building in Shinjuku, which is a great experience if you're travelling on a budget, as it's completely free and offers fantastic views. In the evening, we walked around the vibrant streets of Shinjuku, a major entertainment district of Tokyo with some of the tallest skyscrapers in the city. We took in the many neon lights and busy crowds, then explored the narrow streets of the Golden Gai bars, followed by the lively Kabukicho Tower, a 48-floor entertainment complex which had just opened. Day 12 was a very rainy day in Tokyo. It was a good opportunity to get some shopping in, starting at the ironically named Sunshine City complex, and then heading underground to the Yaesu shopping mall, one of the largest underground shopping centres in Japan. We also killed some time in Don Quixote, a bizarre discount store that sells absolutely everything. These are all over Japan, and they're definitely an experience, not only for the eyes, but also the ears, since they play their own wacky jingle, on repeat. With our hotel in Shinokubo, the Korean town of Tokyo, we checked out the K-beauty and K-pop shops, and lastly had some Korean fried chicken before heading to bed. The sun was out the next morning. We caught the train to Kamakura, a coastal town less than an hour south of Tokyo. and began an off-the-beaten-track journey through the sunny forest towards the Great Buddha. That name will make sense in a few seconds. We followed the Daibutsu hiking trail, which we accessed near the Kamakura station and took all the way to the Great Buddha. We stopped off at a simple shrine near the Azumaya Park and enjoyed a sandwich and some good luck plate smashing before continuing on our way. The trail became quite muddy and somewhat difficult in parts, but it was very quiet and felt adventurous. About 1 hour later, we arrived at the Great Buddha of Kamakura. At 13 metres tall, quite a sight to behold. We stopped for some lunch along the coast and then headed to the station, returning to Osaka for our final few days. If you're getting the train from Tokyo to Osaka, make sure you book a seat on the right-hand side for a chance to see Mount Fuji. Back in Osaka, we took in the sights of the Shinsekai area once more, this time at night, before sitting down for another evolving sushi bar meal. On day 14, it was off to Universal Studios in Osaka, which starts off with a walk through the Universal City Skywalk before entering the park. Universal Studios has incredible areas, experiences and rides featured around big movie franchises such as Harry Potter, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Despicable Me, Spider-Man and Waterworld. If you're feeling brave, there's a really fast roller coaster that you can do both forwards and backwards, and suitable for families and children, a parade where you can see all your favourite Universal characters. The park also has a very popular Super Nintendo World, which has the world's first Mario Kart ride, and the opportunity to buy a power-up wristband which allows you to interact with the park environment. Overall, Universal Studios Japan does immersive 3D and 4D experiences like nowhere else we had been. We had an amazing time and would definitely recommend it for fans of films and high-tech roller coasters. Back in the city, we got some dinner and ended the night queuing up for one of Rikaro's world-famous jiggly cheesecakes, something definitely worth trying. On our final day, we took a day trip from Osaka to Nara, a city famous for beautiful and very greedy bowing deer. For 200 yen, you can pay to feed, aka get attacked by an army of deer at the Nara Park. Meeting the deer of Nara is a fun but absolutely terrifying experience. Our best advice is whatever you do, don't let them get you in a corner, because they do bite. Deer attacks aside, Nara is also renowned for its spectacular ancient shrines and temples. Since they're all located within a large green area, we rented bikes to cycle between as many as we had time to see. My favourite was Kasuga Taisha, which is hidden in the mossy forest. We returned to Osaka by evening, grabbed some food in our bags and headed towards the airport in a fancy Hello Kitty train. And that's how we spent 15 busy days in Japan. Before we close the video, here's some important travel info to note. As mentioned previously in the video, we used the JR Pass to take advantage of Japan's incredible rail system. The JR Pass covers unlimited train rides on all JR lines for a set number of days, really helping us to see as many cities as possible. Please note that since we visited, the pass has increased in price and would no longer save us money on our itinerary. You can check the fare calculator in the description box to find out whether the JR Pass would be cost effective for your trip. While the JR Pass does cover some inner city travel, for metros you'll need an IC card. These are rechargeable cards with the added bonus that you can also use them for convenience store and vending machine purchases. We got the Ikoka card, which you can get from the Kansai region. Each region has their own version, but they can all be used nationwide. Finally, the Takubin luggage forwarding service was an absolute game changer on this trip. In Japan, there's no need to lug heavy suitcases around busy stations, because for a relatively small price, you can fill out a form to have it shipped to your next destination, including the airport. When you arrive at your hotel, your luggage will be in your room waiting for you. You can ask about the Takubin service from your hotel reception, or even at convenience stores. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable. Please do like and subscribe, and stay tuned for future travels.